I mean, you also had a lot going on for you before Arsenal Fan TV, now AFTV. Tell us a bit more about that, you know, the rise to prominence way before this.
Okay, well, back in the day, I used to be really heavily involved in reggae music. So I used to be like a reggae MC. I did I made quite a few tunes over here in the UK. One that I did called Proud to be Black, which was a tune that went to #1 in the UK reggae charts. And I used to do a lot of touring with music. So music's another love of mine. But obviously, as you get a bit older, you know what I mean? Music's a young people's game, you know what I mean? Yeah, so, and then I was back working. Before I started doing AFTV, I was working as a building surveyor. So I sort of went back and studied and got into that.
And maybe I'm just stereotyping here. Forgive me if I am, but, you know, can we trace your love for reggae to a bit of that Caribbean influence in your life?
You're not stereotyping. You certainly can. I mean, my parents were from Jamaica, and you know, I used to go to Jamaica all the time. When I was a kid, me and my brother, we had a sound system where we played music. You know, so that's been in my blood from a barn, as they say in Jamaica. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, that is definitely in my blood, in my roots.
Protect the little children. Don't put your hand in your mouth and say, come on, now, virus the boat. If you want you to do east, west, north, and south, them say, come on, now, virus the boat. We're everywhere.
You know, Robbie, the rise of AFTV, has to be said, came on the backdrop of, you know, a lot of criticism, a lot of negativity, and especially to do with Wenger's time at the club. You know, we've seen players such as Hector Bellerin actually criticizing AFTV in the past. Is there anything about that time, Robbie, that you regret?
Not really, because the thing is, right, we can't affect the performances on the pitch. You know, it's all about the performances on the pitch. And what people have to understand is that we went through a very, very terrible time. You've got to look at Arsenal as a whole. We were at Highbury. We were challenging every year for the title. We're in the Champions League. We got to the Champions League final. We win in FA Cup. We're winning everything. We're like that top team. You see, it's either between us and Manchester United. Even Arsene Wenger himself recently came out and said that, you know, we kind of lost our soul a bit when we moved to the Emirates Stadium. So fans just reacted to what they saw in front of them. Nobody wants to deliberately criticize. If it's not going well, it's going to be reflected, because we give fans a chance to have their honest opinions. And that's what we wanted to do from day one.
And we've seen fans, you know, influence the result of games, influence behavior even from some of the players. There was that incident in the last season with Granit Xhaka. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, at the time, I was pretty angry. I mean, I was at the game, and I could understand his frustration, because he got substituted, and when his number came up, there were some fans that were jeering him. And I didn't think that was right for them to jeer him when his number came up. But I think his reaction after that was wrong. You know, you're a professional footballer. You're going to have days where the fans are on your back. You've got to be able to handle it. You don't walk off and start swearing at fans and ripping off the badge on the captain's armband and stuff like that. So I thought he was completely wrong.
Another controversial topic, Robbie, has been the status of the current owners of Arsenal. What did the fans think of them?
That is a controversial matter. I think the problem with the owners of the club, I think that they need to have a bit more communication with the fans. You know what I mean? They're based in America. The owner, Stan Kroenke, hardly ever comes to watch any games. And so there's a lack of communication between the fans and the owners. And then if you then also throw into the mix the fact that we've been, under these new owners, we've been very unsuccessful. We've won FA Cups, but we've not challenged for the ultimate, which is the league or the Champions League. And when we first moved into the new stadium, when we moved from Highbury, we were told that, you know, we're going to be the new Bayern Munich of British football and stuff like that, and we've gone backwards.
Yeah.
And as I said, when you're going backwards, when things are not going well, I think your owners of the clubs, they need to come forth sometimes and communicate. I mean, I know obviously he owns a lot of other sporting organisations, but you've got to have a communication with the fans, and I think that's really been lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're saying, it really isn't the same. And speaking of the games, Robbie, you know, what's been the best game you've covered for Arsenal, and what's been the worst?
The worst. There's a few. Wow, the worst. The worst one that we covered at AFTV is when we went away to Chelsea, got beat 6-0.
Wow.
That was terrible. I mean, you know, especially, you know, it's a London derby. You don't want to lose to Chelsea. That's a club you don't want to lose to. You know, my phone was ringing. I didn't hear the end of it for weeks. Right, that was terrible. The best, I think, probably since I've been on AFTV, the best has probably been the FA Cup wins. I think when the first FA Cup win against Hull, to come from behind and win that, we hadn't won a trophy for a very long time. That was a great win.
There was some controversy earlier on in 2020 with Claude, and, you know, it does have to be said that really ties in with the BLM movement, the Black Lives Matter movement currently happening in football. What are your thoughts, Robbie, on just how the Premier League has handled racism so far?
I think they've done some things very well. You know, I think when you compare the Premier League to a lot of other organisations around Europe, I think they do take it a lot more serious than others. However, there's still a lot of work to be done. There are still, you know, as you said, we even had an incident of it on our channel where people still feel sometimes they can say things. They don't understand sometimes that those things are racist, or they're racial stereotypes. But I think the Premier League are, you know, I like the steps they took with the whole Black Lives Matters thing where people were taking the knee and stuff like that. I think that was great, but that's a lot of symbols. We need to see action.
Robbie, speaking of some of the contributors, you know, have huge fan base here in Africa, here in Kenya. Just tell us about how you met some of them. You know, did you meet all of them through AFTV? We're talking Troops, Ty, and so many others.
All of them I've met through AFTV. I mean, obviously I used to go football before. I didn't know any of these guys. And I've met them all through just interviewing them. And, you know, as you interview them over a long period of time, I've become friendly with some of them as well. There's some really funny characters there, some really great characters, fantastic support, especially in places like Kenya. You know, I really want to get out there one day, because we was organising something one time to come over there before, and it didn't quite happen. But I'd love to get out there, because I speak to so many supporters from Kenya online. I meet so many of them at the grounds who've come over from Kenya. There's a lot of Kenyans in London and around the UK as well that love Arsenal, you know, and I know you guys are passionate.
Definitely.
You know, although the Victor Wanyama, he let me down by going to Tottenham. I don't know what he was dealing with, but everybody else is all right. I actually wanted Wanyama at Arsenal, because I was like, you know what, I think he'd be good, because we needed a defensive midfielder. So I was really disappointed when he ended up going to Tottenham. But he did have a good career, and he has gone on to do, I think he's in the MLS now, isn't he? So
right.
He's had a good career. Yeah, anybody who comes over from Africa who gets into a Premier League team has to be exceptional, because, you know, I don't think people understand the competition, the amount of people who play football, and the absolute tiny percentage of players that make it to the Premier League is less than 1%. You know, so you then add into the fact that you're coming from abroad with all the people that are playing football in England or in academy systems and that. It's so difficult. So, you know, he had to be exceptional to make it.
And you know, Arsenal has a huge love and fan base here within Africa. Of course, for obvious reasons, Robbie, Arsenal has given and established a lot of African players, and especially during Arsene Wenger's time. What are your thoughts, Robbie, on the current crop of African players at the Emirates?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Saka, who's, although he's born in the UK, but his parents are Nigerian. Fantastic. I'd say one of the best young players in Europe right now. It's going to be really interesting to see who he chooses to play for, because he can play for either Nigeria or England. I think Eddie Nketiah can play for Ghana or England as well. His parents are from Ghana. So there's always been a very strong African connection at Arsenal. You know what I mean? From going back from right in the day when Kanu came in.
What about the likes of Aubameyang, the likes of Nicolas Pepe? Your thoughts on them?
Well, again, Aubameyang, one of the best players in Africa. And again, an exceptional player. Pepe, I think we're going to see the best of him next season. I mean, in Aubameyang, again, I absolutely love the guy. I hope he signs a new contract at Arsenal, but he's been one of those guys. When we talked about communication earlier, his communication with the fans is brilliant. He's a brilliant player. The fans, they absolutely adore him. He won the Golden Boot last year. He just missed out on it by one goal this year. Remember, he's not playing in the greatest team. Imagine if we can get the team really playing to his strengths, he'd score even more goals. So he's been an absolute inspiration. I think for one player I'd really like to see us win something for is him, because he has just not let us down since he's joined this club. He's been absolutely brilliant. And again, a guy that I've met a few times, and I've got to say, one of the nicest people. I've met a lot of footballers. He's one of the nicest footballers I've met. You know what I mean? He's such a down-to-earth. I mean, you see pictures of him. He's very flashy. He's got a lot of big cars and stuff like that. But when you meet him, no matter who you are, he's so humble. He's such a nice guy, and I'm really proud that he's a captain of Arsenal.
Fair enough. And, you know, moving it back to this last season, it was a bit of a paradox, as we mentioned. What would you like to see moving forward? I mean, you have one of the, I think, most popular coaches I've seen at the Emirates in a while, Mikel Arteta.
I think, you know, when he first got the job, I was like, I don't know. I think we need somebody a bit more experienced. But I have to say, he's been a breath of fresh air. He's come in. He's done a fantastic job. He's won a trophy in his first season. I think he had a fantastic season. Remember, he even caught the coronavirus, recovered from the coronavirus, and went on to win a trophy.
Right. And, you know, the likes of Willian to Arsenal, you're talking about availing more resources, more tools to the head coach. But there is that general sentiment, you know, Robbie, that Arsenal can be a bit frugal. What do you think about Willian to Arsenal, and who else would you like to see make their way over to the Emirates?
Very frugal, you know what I mean? And that's been another problem, you know, because as I said, when you're paying the highest ticket prices, and you just see these little free transfers and old aging players and stuff like that, we want to see some young, exciting signings. You know what I mean? So
you've got Pepe, no?
Yes, Pepe was a great signing, but I do understand the situation at the moment with the, you know, the clubs have lost a lot of money because of the COVID thing. But this is a big club, and I really do want to see, you know, the manager backed up with the right signings. I'm not against the Willian signing; was a good signing. But that's only going to be a good signing if we make 3 to 4 other good signings. So I'm still watching to see what's going to happen, because I think we need a centre-back, we need a defensive midfielder, and an attacking midfielder.
The rise of Arsenal Fan TV, or AFTV, Robbie, has definitely inspired the rise of fan TVs back here in Kenya and Africa. Your words of advice or motivation to them?
It's a process, you know what I mean? And if you're consistent with what you do and you concentrate on making good content, forget about the money to start off with. Concentrate on making good content and being consistent. Eventually, people are going to take notice of your content. So to all those people doing it, keep up the good work. I know it can be hard at times because we went through it, but you can, if you're consistent, you can create something that's very big. And I think we're living proof of that. You know what I mean? I started it off with no money. I've never taken a loan out, anything. And we built it to where it is now, and it's getting bigger. So if I can do it, anybody, absolutely anybody can do it.